Hey guys, today I'm gonna be reacting to a video called Why Walmart Failed in Europe.
Dem Straßenverlauf von Marion Drive einen Kilometer folgen.
The European mind cannot comprehend this.
You know, when I think about the USA, there are a few things that come to my mind immediately. Large roads, fast food restaurants on every corner, and those huge supermarket chains where you can walk in and walk out with literally every product you need.
Exactly.
Food, medicine, or even fishing accessories. And
Things
one
for
of
your
those
home.
supermarket chains, the most successful and the most famous one, is that one right behind me, Walmart. Walmart is not just a supermarket like you know it in
No,
any other
it's
country.
everything.
No, Walmart is the company with the highest sales in the world. Not
In the
even
world?
Amazon, not even Apple, not even the Saudi Arabian oil company Saudi Aramco
Seriously?
make as much money as Walmart. The company managed that with a radical low price policy,
That's
and
cheap.
with its wide range of products.
You have
If you
everything
go
there.
into a Walmart supermarket, you will simply find everything you need there. Sounds like a success story,
Exactly.
doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, but there's this one thing that the company Walmart never achieved. To export this success story to Europe,
Yeah,
and especially
why?
to my home country, Germany. Well, they tried it at the end of the 90s, but only
Oh.
9 years later, they sold all the branches and never came back.
Okay, so 9 years?
So, what I would really like to know is, how the heck did that actually happen?
Yeah.
What makes this American supermarket chain so special that
And
the concept
successful?
obviously doesn't work in Europe? And why did Walmart fail in my home country,
Well,
Germany?
just in Germany.
Well, let's try to find out, and actually, I'm also looking forward to a little shopping tour. So,
yes, it's
let's go.
exciting.
Yeah, that was not a joke. I really meant it. Before we talk about the failed expansion of Walmart, let's go in there. I've never been to a Walmart supermarket before. When
Okay.
I was in the USA, I always went to Target, I guess, which I think it's similar, but not the same.
No, it's
So
similar.
I'm really excited what I will find there, and I'm also really excited what kind of products they have we don't have in Germany.
Everything.
So yeah, let's go in there. And while I'm doing that, here are a few facts about Walmart that you should know. The company is founded in the year 1950. A man
wow.
named Sam Walton opens his first
That's
store
so old.
in the small town of Bentonville in Arkansas, then
Makes
still under
sense,
the
it's from
name
the South.
Walton's Five and Dime. Even then, his concept is clear. Food and household goods at the lowest possible prices, and he also has a vision from the start. Walton wants his company to become the largest retailer in the United States.
Very
A
ambitious.
business model based on low prices, a large product range, and an efficient logistics system is to help him achieve this. The concept quickly becomes a success. In the following years, Walmart expands rapidly and quickly becomes the market leader in retail. The company opens branches in all parts of the United States and also expands abroad. In 1991, Walmart opens its first branch outside the United States in Mexico City. In the following years, the company expands into 24 countries and
Oh my
today
God.
employs more than 2.3 million people.
I didn't know that they had it like outside the USA. I wonder in which country.
Well, and if we grab a shopping cart and go into the store, we also get an idea of how the Walmart system works. What really surprises me as a European is
Okay,
the
what?
incredible size of this store. You first come
It's
to the
huge.
fruit and vegetable department, then walk past all kinds of food. Even this department in itself
The
is
frozen aisle?
huge. But once you're through there's another huge area where you can get basically everything else you need for your life. There's an electronics department where you can buy headphones or computers or cell phones.
The
Then you come
pharmacy.
to the DIY department where you can buy motor oil or
Yeah,
leaf
stuff for your
blowers
car.
or lawn mowers or air pumps and all kinds of other
Stuff for
technical
your house.
devices. Then there's everything for the car, for example, car batteries. Then there are products for your home, such as lamps or blinds, furniture such as desks or cupboards. And then there's also a huge clothing department where you can
Yes.
find everything from suits
Pajamas.
to pink jogging suits. When it comes to food, I also find it really interesting how huge the packaging of products is
Oh,
in
yeah, because they're
Walmart
huge.
stores
Yeah, they're
or
pretty
in the
big.
USA in general.
They're
Whether
party
it's
size.
chips or cornflakes or chocolate,
So much
there are always
variety.
family-sized bags of all products or packaging with hundreds of different varieties. You won't find anything like that in German supermarkets. The
Oh,
packaging
really?
is much smaller there. And
But
to
don't they
round
ha-
off
don't-
my
don't they
little
sell
tour,
party
here are
size?
a few product discoveries I made. Apparently, people in the USA eat Nutella, a
Yes.
brand from Italy. Greetings
don't-
from Europe. Then there's also
They
an
don't eat it in
import
Germany?
shelf with products from Europe. For example, Heineken from the
Yeah, the imported
Netherlands. The
beer.
cornflakes department is very interesting because they have basically the same brands here as in Germany,
Yeah.
but they have completely different names. The Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, for example,
Oh my God.
are called Kellogg's Frosties in Germany. I think that's the same in
Frosties?
other European countries, isn't it? And the
Oh my God.
cornflakes called Cinnamon Crunch are called Cinni Minis at home, which is also kind of funny. It's also interesting that there are always dozens of variation of a product that we don't
Yeah.
have at home. For example,
You have
Heinz
everything and then
ketchup.
there's one.
There's not just the ketchup, but also countless other recipes, including mayo chup, a mix of ketchup and mayonnaise. What I also find really funny is how much you Americans obviously love mac and cheese. Here in the store, there's not just a whole shelf with different brands of mac and cheese. There are even dozens of
Yeah, the
frozen
Kraft one's
meals
better.
that all contain mac and cheese. And last but not least, there is one product I find particularly interesting.
What?
And that is this one. Do you know what
Oh, the
that is?
Lunchables.
This is Lunchables, a cracker with sausage and cheese and
Cheese.
stuff like that. This product actually also was sold in Germany in the 1990s and was advertised extensively on
For
TV,
kids.
but apparently it was so unsuccessful that it was taken off the
No
market.
way,
But well,
really?
you can still buy it here in the USA.
They're very popular
and that
in the
really
USA.
takes me back to my childhood.
They were called Lunchables as well. Oh my god, he's already leaving. He didn't got anything.
Okay, that was my shopping tour, I have to say.
Nothing.
It was quite fun, yeah, you can spend a lot of time in there, but it was
Yeah.
also not like an overwhelming experience or
No,
something
no.
like that. We also have stores like that one in Germany. They are
Okay.
much smaller, but we also have like supermarkets where you can buy
Everything.
else from, I don't know, cables to bicycle wheels and stuff like that. So we do have that, but
what
Walmart
are
is
they?
definitely much larger. So the question still is, why is there no shopping paradise like Walmart in Germany? And why did the Walmart expansion fail so badly in Europe? Well, to find out, we have to go back in time to the year 1997.
Okay.
At that time, there is a supermarket chain in Germany called Wertkauf, which exists since the 1950s. It's a quite unusual concept for Germany. The company has very huge supermarket halls in which forklifts sometimes drive around during opening hours to store the products in the high shelves. At the end of the 1990s, however, the concept is struggling, so the chain is sold. The 21 branches at the time go to, right, the American supermarket giant Walmart. At the time, Walmart is planning an aggressive attack on the German market with a
Okay,
concept
that's
that is already
intense.
highly successful in the USA. Radical low prices. And here we might already have the first point why this perhaps
Oh my
was
God.
not the best idea. We already
don't like
have
cheap things?
two huge supermarket chains with exactly this concept.
Oh,
the German
okay.
brand Lidl, for example,
Lidl.
which today is also very successful in all of
Yeah.
Europe, and Aldi, which was also able to conquer the American market. You might have seen an Aldi store before. Well,
And now they have it in the
Walmart
USA.
tries it anyway, in
Canada, I
the
think.
American way. The first managing director, Ron Tjarks, does not speak a single word of German when he
Wow.
starts his job.
That's
and the
bad.
demands on employees are also very American. This includes, for example, excessive customer friendliness. Employees are required to smile as friendly as
And do small
possible
talk.
at everyone at the checkout. And at the entrances to the supermarket, there are also so-called greeters, also based on the American model, who welcome everyone in a very friendly
They don't
manner.
like that.
There's also some kind of a motivational training for the employees. Every time they start working in the morning, they need to stand in a circle and call out the words Walmart, Walmart
Okay, I didn't know
several
that.
times in order to motivate each other and have fun at
That's
work.
weird.
If I would compare all of that with the typical behavior in a typical German supermarket, I have to say it's exactly the opposite. First of all, we don't smile in Germany, in general, and also not in a supermarket.
We don't
And
smile.
the second thing, I'm also not really sure if I want a person right next to a supermarket door who says, "Hello, how are you today?" every time I enter the supermarket. That's just something we don't do in Germany. It feels wrong somehow.
It feels wrong.
Obviously, I'm not the only one with this feeling.
True. That's why you
In
failed.
fact, those greetings and the overly friendly behavior is repeatedly criticized in the country when Walmart hits the German market.
Really?
There are even reports of male customers who are complaining because they find this behavior at the cash desk flirty or even intrusive.
Oh my
And
God, they're just
also
saying hello.
the employees don't really like all that. There are reports that whenever these motivational rounds take place, people go to the bathroom to avoid having to take part.
Yeah, because you're German.
Long story short, the start of the Germany expansion of Walmart was already a fail.
It was
And
doomed
the
from the
following
start.
decisions of the company didn't make things any better. At the beginning of the 2000s, Walmart tries to conquer the German market with even lower prices. A real price war with competitors such as Aldi and Lidl begins. The consequence, the company records huge losses and also
course.
the managing director is replaced. From April 2000,
Someone that's
Alan
speaking
Leiten
German,
is head
I
of Walmart Europe. The German headquarters in the city of Wuppertal is managed for the first time by a German manager, Volker Barth.
would think that was a
few
given.
months later, Walmart tries to take over the German Metro Group and its stores. Shareholders, however, resist this. The plan fails. Walmart then tries to open another 50 stores on the German market on its own, which leads to ridicule from the competition.
Yeah, I don't
the
think
plans
that's
are just
good.
far too boastful, and Germany is far too small for a price war that Walmart is trying to start here. The new European boss, Alan Leiten, resigns from his post after just 9 months.
Oh my God,
a year
what a
later,
disaster.
also the boss of the German office, Volker Barth, has to leave. He is replaced by the manager Kai Hafner. At the same time, the company radically scales back its expansion plans in Germany. Instead of the planned
course.
20 new stores, only 2 are to be opened, the company says.
Yeah, that's not the
All
problem.
of that doesn't remain without consequences. In 2004, a court forces Walmart to disclose its balance sheets in Germany, and the numbers don't look
Not-
really good.
Yeah, they weren't
Business figures for the year 2000 show a loss of 26 million euros in 4 department stores
I would guess
alone.
that's
The loss
bad.
for the entire German business is in the 3-digit million range, with sales of less than 3 billion euros. Yeah, and to make it even worse, Walmart is also messing with the unions in Germany. In general, Walmart is a very anti-union
Union, of
company.
course. All
There
the
are stories
companies are.
here in the US that they threatened to close entire branches if the employees dared to unionize.
Yes.
Well, you can try things like that in the US. Maybe,
But
but
not in
definitely
Germany.
not in Germany. And it seems like the company doesn't really understand.
Yeah, they didn't know that.
To give you an example, in 2002, the company bans the union representative from attending the annual closing meeting. Such an exclusion is not permitted by law at all. in
Yeah, of
Germany.
course, they have different
The Works
things.
Council sues Walmart and wins in the first instance.
Because it was
Essentially,
illegal.
Walmart is constantly at odds with unions. One point of criticism is not least the salaries of the employees. Here too, the company is trying to save money wherever possible.
Oh my God, they're
A few
cutting
years
costs.
later, Walmart then tries to establish typical American rules in its stores, a so-called code of ethics. Among other things, this code prohibits flirting at work. Even a small gesture towards a colleague can lead to dismissal. And
That's
also this
insane.
rule is decided without informing the works council. The German union Verdi criticizes, if people have the impression that even a gesture can lead to dismissal, that is not right. The union speaks of
course.
serious infringements on personal rights. A little later, the regional labor court in the German town of Düsseldorf rules that the company's ethic guidelines are largely invalid in Germany. In 2005, Walmart tries to recover one last time on the German market.
Oh my God,
and
they
once
tried so
again,
hard.
there is a change at the top management for that. Kai Hafner is replaced by the Briton David Wild. He once again makes a boastful statement. We are a commercial enterprise and we want to make profit in Germany. We will do that. You can rely on it.
Oh,
Just
no.
3 months later, the newspaper Lebensmittelzeitung
That's really
reports
crow.
that Walmart in Germany is basically bankrupt. Only a letter of comfort from the parent company in Arkansas can avert the insolvency-related indebtedness. Well, and then in July 2006, the German Walmart is finally history. The German competitor Metro, in a press statement, writes the following. The 85 remaining Walmart stores in Germany are to be taken over, and apparently at a bargain price. The group's
Ugh,
existing stores
sold
are
for
to
cheap.
become branches of the German supermarket chain Real.
Oh, I've never heard
By
of
the
that
way,
one.
this Real supermarket chain also does not exist anymore today in Germany,
Oh my
at
God.
least in that form. So that supermarket chains go bankrupt and fail is not a super unusual thing.
Okay, I
However,
can see
the
it.
story of the German Walmart is something special, and this failure also had consequences for the company in the rest of Europe. In the
They didn't try to
United
expand.
Kingdom, there used to be the Asda stores, which belonged to Walmart for more than 20 years. However, they are quite different from the American Walmart branches, and in 2021, the company also sold these stores to the
Oh,
competition.
no.
In the rest of the world, things are sometimes better and sometimes worse for Walmart. In South Korea, for example, the company also failed in a similar way to Germany in the 2000s. And also in Japan, the company's expansion was not a success story. So,
Where were
what
they
did we learn from
successful?
this? Well, a supermarket like that one over here that is so huge is really fun, especially
Yes.
for me as a European who doesn't really know that. However, maybe they only really work at the place where they first were invented, the United States of America.
I think it depends.
So, boys and girls, here we are back in the hotel. That was my story about Walmart. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something. If you did, then please leave a thumbs up. You can also hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you won't miss any upcoming video. And if you'd like to support me and my work, you can also do that, for example, on Patreon. The link is in the description down below. Or you can become a channel member on my YouTube channel. Then you will also get exclusive stuff and new videos before everyone else. So, that's it for today. Have a safe journey. See you next time. Bye bye.
Okay, so yes, this was. I think I kind of like disagree a little bit when he was like, well, I think this only can be successful in the USA. I think not, but I can see why it failed. I think it was a thing about like maybe they were getting, I don't know, they were getting like too big for their purchase, but I don't know. I think they were just, it's a total like lack of misunderstanding on how like the regional market actually like works. Because I think if they had actually done their proper research on how, you know, things work in that particular country, in this case in Germany, maybe they would have had a chance. But I think the point was that they just tried to like replicate how things were in the USA, and they just like moved it back to Germany, where, you know, they put like, no, you can't really do that. And I don't know why, and how come they never thought of like, okay, like things maybe work there because the culture is different. But how would you like replicate it if the minute that you're getting the sense of like people are not happy with this, like it's not successful, people are not liking it, both customers and employees. Like employees think like they don't like it for this number of reasons. And I think they even have like, because again, employees, like it's the culture. I think the work culture is very different. Like that thing of like making the employees like be super friendly and say like, hey, hey, how's your day? Hey ma'am, like how's your day and stuff. Like they don't like that. So try to force employees to do that when it's people that, they don't really have that. It's not in their nature, and you're trying to force them to do this. Employees are not going to be happy because they're like, that's not against like that. We don't really do that here. And not only that, but of course the union thing, which I think it's huge because otherwise, like in Germany, apparently that's a rule. Like the unions are a pretty big deal, and by law they're mandated to do that. However, in the USA, like it's not like that. And of course, big companies like Walmart, Amazon, like all of those like big companies are gonna be against unions, and that's constantly something that they're constantly like fighting about, like employees and unions and this big company chains, this store chains and these big companies, because obviously they don't want anyone to unionize. So, but it's because in the USA, like rules are different. You don't need to have a union, and apparently in Germany it is a rule. Everyone has to be like part of a union. So of course you have to do your research, and you would think that this big company Walmart like did the research and was like, oh, okay, yeah, like we're in the clear, we can do this. So I'm surprised by the fact that they just try to like overhaul everything and be like, oh, it's gonna be okay. It's like, no, absolutely not. How come you would think like the rules and the laws are different in this place? And on the other hand, like the customers, I think maybe you can try to introduce them to something different. I think I applaud that. I think it's good. They wanted to replicate the experience. And they were like, yes, because we do things here, like it's going to be different. Like, because otherwise, why wouldn't I go to Aldi or Lidl or some other chain? He's like, oh, because here we do things different. Like people are overly friendly. It's bigger, like this different things. So maybe I can see why it would be attractive for Germans to maybe try that one instead of like the competitors. But once again, they made the research, and once that people and customers were like, we don't like people, like the people that work here are overly friendly. We don't like that. Stop smiling. It's creepy. It's weird. Stop talking to me. Like the whole thing is weird. It's like, well, you would adjust. I would think like, well, let's adjust. Obviously, like it's not working. People are like, why would I go to this place? Like I can go anywhere to the other store where I'm going to be treated in a way that I like. So of course, like you would think, well, okay, so maybe there's some changes that need to happen. I'm surprised that they didn't. They were just like, no, we're gonna stay here. So it's like, how come you would do that? That seems like so insane to me, because obviously you want to make your product attractive. So again, if people are not being like attracted to this, they were just gonna go to other competitors, because it wasn't like this big concept that, oh, it's new to us, like this huge chain supermarket that has both food that I can get my fresh produce, and I can get like pantry staples, and also I can get stuff for my car, and I can get clothes, and I can get stuff for my house. Like you can get everything for my garden, for everything. Apparently that's not a new concept in Germany. They already had stores that did it. So I think you can maybe get away with something like that, with like people are maybe gonna overcome those things, those like overly friendliness and all those things that I don't really like the environment of the store. If maybe it's the only place that offers this. So if this is the only place that offers this, then I can like, okay, I'm gonna put up with this, but I'm gonna go to this place. However, if like there are other places that actually do this, so why would I go to the place that I don't really like if I can just go to the other stores that are gonna offer me exactly the same thing, and that they're actually used to how we are as people. So of course it looks crazy to me that like, how come they didn't really make adjustments? And I think also one thing that like I think it was like the regional like operations manager, I don't know, like the one in charge, the thing that they put someone that didn't really speak German, and he wasn't even German. I think it's a little bit like crazy to me, because you would think, well, if you're not going to hire someone that's German, that obviously is aware of how things work in this country, at least hire someone that speaks the language in the country that you're working in. Like that seems like so crazy to me that you would just expect, an American to just come here and take over everything. I don't think people like that. And especially like it's a little bit like frowned upon in other places, in other countries. And I would think specifically like Germany and Europe in I don't know why I have that in my brain. Maybe I'm totally off, but I think I have it in my brain that they don't really like when Americans like do that, because I think there's a sense of like entitlement that they just come to a place and they go, oh, we're going to overhaul this and things we're going to do this in this way. And you're like, no, because they think they know better or something. And it's like, again, I don't think it was like, we don't really like it. We don't really do that here. So even there, like it was doomed from the start. Like even that they made so many mistakes. And again, I think maybe it would have worked, but maybe with different, like they had to make different adjustments. They had to make like, I don't know, you have to make your research. You have to do research and actually like see if this is going to be a success in this particular country. And it's funny that they were like, in Germany, like it failed completely. And they were like, I think they made it sound like it was only in Germany. I don't know if they tried doing, creating Walmarts in other places, like, I don't know, Italy or I don't know, Spain, Portugal, the UK had something like that, but not really. But again, just like, did they try it in other places in Europe and did it fail catastrophically as here? Or they would just like, Germany's like the pilot test and it didn't work, so we're just gonna give up. Apparently it was like, no, Europe like is not a good market for us. But it's funny that apparently in Korea and in Japan it didn't work either. So it's like, okay, I can see what you would think, that this concept only works in the USA. But apparently they were like he mentioned at the beginning, like earlier, I think there was like 25 countries I think that had Walmarts. And have Walmart like in this day and age. So it is like, okay, so it's successful in some places. It's not just, it was only like in those places in Asia and in Europe apparently like it didn't work because of those reasons. But I think maybe they should maybe try it again. Not in Germany. I think it's way too soon. And I don't know, I think maybe other places, other countries in Europe maybe would benefit from something like this. But again, you have to make your adjustments and maybe take it down a notch. I think the friendliness, I think even places in Europe that are considered like a little friendlier and a little more like, we are smiling. It's funny that he was like, we Germans do not smile. We don't like that. So it's like, okay, maybe like go to a country in Europe that is less stoic. And even there, like, again, make your own adjustments. And maybe in those places, maybe it's going to be a little bit more successful. It's going to be a little bit better. But it's so funny. I have to say also that I want to know what he got, because he looked so excited about going there, and I wanted to see like, oh, okay, he's going to give us a tour, or maybe he's going to buy like a lot of things. And he ended up buying just like one little thing. It was just like one bag. I want to know what he got. And he was like, so I'm shocked as well by the fact that like Frosted Flakes, for instance, are not called Frosted Flakes. I think I don't know. I thought that was like the name everywhere. Like, Frosted Flakes, like, I don't know, that's the copyright. I don't know. Apparently it is, and they're called Frosties. I think Wheaties, something like that. Wheaties is another cereal. Frosties, I think that was the name. I can't remember, but it was different. And the other, I can't remember the other one, but it was the Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I cannot remember how it was called, but I'm wondering if it also has the same logo and stuff, and the only thing that changes is just like the letters. I would love to know that. And also, how come like it's different, like they changed the name? I would maybe be like, well, maybe they're changing the name to be something in German. Maybe that's the thing that would maybe make sense to me. But it's like, no, they're not even changing the name to something German. They're just like changing the name, period. So it's like, so how come you're not just putting the same name there? It's crazy. That's so funny. And obviously he's all like, wow, Americans do really love their mac and cheese, which, it's a cliche, yeah. But mac and cheese is also pretty good. Don't they have that in Germany? I would love to know that. And also I'm a little shocked that he seems surprised by the amount of Nutella. Like, oh, people eat a lot of Nutella here. It's Italian. Yes, it's Italian, but I think Nutella is famous everywhere, I think, in the world. Like, it's not, everyone knows that it's an Italian product. But I think that's just like unusual. I don't know, like everyone likes Nutella. Well, not everyone, but most people love Nutella. So I'm surprised by the fact that he was like, whoa, people here like do consume a lot of Nutella. It's like, don't they have that in Germany? Isn't it famous in Germany? I don't know. I would think yes, because again, Italy is like right next door. So I would think it's pretty popular. I don't know, but I'm super curious to see what he got. I'm sad that he didn't show like his haul, and also like, oh, he didn't got anything else. I wanted to see. I was expecting like a big thing of like, oh, he's gonna show us everything. So I'm a little bit sad by that. But otherwise, this is a very interesting video, and I loved it. And that was it for today. Bye.